questions to any of us on this subject first? Yes.
Project 2025 says that for the Treasury Department, the administration should, quote, take affirmative steps to expose and eradicate the practice of critical race theory and diversity, equity, and inclusion, end quote, throughout the agency. Does agencies and the Treasury Department need federal protections to keep their, say, Office of Minority, Women, Inclusion?
Look, we have always believed in diversity as a country and as a party, and we think that Project 2025 probably doesn't even give a hoot about diversity. Yes.
It's related. NBC News reported today that the Trump campaign asked Senator Lindsey Graham to go to Nebraska and push a winner-takes-all strategy to change the electoral vote.
It's a stretch that it's on this subject.
Process, well, kind of. Process.
That's all right. We will.
You have senators who can speak to this subject. So, what is your reaction to that? That they are pushing this strategy, according to our reporting.
Look, they're very worried about the election, as they should be. The American people every day see the contrast between what they have proposed in things like Project 2025, the subject of this little discussion, and what we are calling for. And so they're worried. You want to say something?
One more thing is that, this is his old playbook, right? He tries to change the rules in the middle of an election, or they try to get rid of Saturday voting right at the end of the Georgia Senate race. Or they claim, once they lose, that they need 11,000 more votes and that the election wasn't okay. There are little criminal cases going on against fake electors around the country. So in this case, they're just trying to change the rules in the middle of the game that have already been set and been set for a long, long time, how those elections run in Nebraska. So I think they try to mess around with elections all the time, and the people have had it. And you look at what happened even back in 2022, and over 30% of people that voted Democratic said that the democracy was the major reason for it, because they don't want to see the Speaker of the House's husband bludgeoned with a hammer. They don't want to see people in camo in Arizona in lines. They've been messing around with these elections for a long time, and the American people are onto it, and they will be onto it in Nebraska.
They can't win. They can't. Go ahead.
I literally had to sue the state of Georgia so that folks could vote the first weekend of the runoff. And now as you're watching what's happening in Georgia with these shenanigans from the state elections board, they are clearly trying to set up a scenario in which they could refuse to certify an election whose results they don't like. It's turning democracy on its head rather than the people picking their officials. The officials are getting to decide which people get to vote.
Mm-hmm. Look, they can't win legitimately, so they always try to change the rules at the last minute. The good news is we've been prepared for this for a long time, led by Mark Elias. We have knocked back so many of their incursions on people voting. Yes?
Leader Schumer, I'll admit this isn't a stretch.
No, that's okay.
Are you prepared to move forward with the spending bill, or will you let the House continue to stew in its own juices?
Well, look,
so to speak?
The bottom line is very, very simple, and that is you need a bipartisan agreement to get things done, and hopefully Speaker Johnson will learn that. He's not, by trying the partisan route, he's flopped, totally flopped right on his face. So we have filed today, and if the House can't get its act together, we're prepared to move forward. Yes.
Leader Schumer, you have called on Johnson multiple times now to work with you in a bipartisan manner to keep the government open. But Trump on Truth Social last night said if Republicans don't get the SAVE Act, every ounce of it, they should not agree to a continuing resolution in any way, shape, or form. Given that immense pressure from the president, can you realistically expect Johnson
many Republican House members, as many of you have reported, are smart enough to know that if there's a shutdown, it will be a Republican shutdown, that they know that the people know Democrats do not want a shutdown, and they realize that Donald Trump, when it comes to legislating, doesn't know what the heck he's talking about. Yes.
When it comes to the CR, do you have any red lines when it comes to disaster relief as well as a potential Secret Service?
We're not going to negotiate in public on this issue. Yes.
Thank you. Bigger picture question. Let's say you all are successful in defeating Donald Trump in November, and Project 2025 doesn't, make it into federal policy. Do you believe that would kind of extend extinguish Trumpism as we know it? Do you feel like this is an opportunity
Well,
for
look,
Democrats?
I mean, I would hope that should Donald Trump lose, and I believe he will, that Republicans will realize that following Trump is a path fraught with terrible consequences for the nation, but also bad political consequences for themselves.
Leader
Yes.
Schumer, good morning. Has there been any conversation between you and the Speaker about this, or this idea that you're going to file cloture on a vehicle? This is all just a wink and the nod. He might make another play. You guys pass your bill next week, send it over. Everybody gets the joke.
Not negotiating in public.
That's not negotiating. I'm trying to understand. Have you had a conversation with the Speaker of the House? That's a yes or no question.
I'm not negotiating in public. Yes.
Some Senate Republicans have voiced frustration over not getting the appropriation bills on the floor that have passed out of committee, or having the IVF vote this week instead of moving on a CR. What's your response to that?
Listen, the bottom line is that it was Leader McConnell who didn't want to move forward. He said, let's see what the House will do. But as you heard him say yesterday, a shutdown would be a disaster, and it's clear from his language he doesn't agree with what the House is doing. Yes.
The crypto industry is spending millions of dollars specifically in Senate races. I know a lot of them are boosting some Democrats in those races, but they're also working against others. Are you having any frustration with the influence that they could be having?
Look, the bottom line is that it was Republicans who blocked a crypto bill that Senator Stabenow had put together on the Ag Committee last year, and we're going to have to figure out how to move forward from here. Last one.
Dr. The Project 2025.
Thank you.
Part of Trump's platform is reallocating.
Next time I'll call on you first.
Reallocating military resources, recalling troops from overseas to the border, to naval patrols around the Gulf of Mexico. Do you think that's something that could be done, or what are the ramifications of that?
I think that was Senator Schatz.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a member of the Armed Services Committee, as well as Veterans Affairs. This militarization of immigration policy would be a national security disaster. Our military leadership is deeply against it. Troops on the ground think it compromises their mission, and it really illuminates Donald Trump's total misunderstanding of the United States military as a force for our national defense, not for his personal preferences to demagogue an issue. And I think that's the reason why our military leadership thinks so negatively about it.
Senator Schatz, the last word.
Just that we have a lot of very dangerous adversaries around the world, and it shows that Donald Trump considers Mexico and Canada to be more dangerous than Iran and North Korea and China.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. You don't think Trump might run in 2028 again?